All right, let's write another essay. This one is a positive negative essay or positive negative development from IELTS Academic 18. As usual, the first step is to read and understand the statement and the instruction. The statement reads, in many countries around the world, rural people are moving to cities, so the population in the countryside is decreasing. So the instruction is, do you think this is a positive or a negative development? Development is something that is happening or changing, so it's a trend. We should say either it's a good change or a bad change and why. So this statement has got two parts. Part one, rural people are moving to the cities. And part two, the population in the countryside is decreasing. So if you want to get a good band score, you need to cover both sides of the question. So the rural people are moving to cities, and also the population in the countryside is decreasing. So it's time to decide. So remember, on the test day, decide based on the number of ideas or phrases and words you have, not based on what you think in the real world. So I think it's a negative development. Why? So I've got two reasons for that. One, so because when the population of cities grow, there will be many problems such as housing, transportation, traffic, and so on. And the result of that is bad living conditions for the citizens. So this is about the first part of the question, that rural people are moving to cities. Now I need to give a reason for the second part. The population in the countryside is decreasing. So what is negative about that? Because there is a shortage of labor in rural areas. So it means there won't be any farmers in rural areas or the countryside to work on lands, right? So what is the result of that? It affects the overall economy and food production, right? So if you want to get a better score, you should talk about both sides. I mean, both negative and positive aspects. So in this way, you will address both sides of the question and present a clear position on the topic. So in this one, my position is, despite its positive aspects, urbanization is a negative trend or change. So given one positive point, which is different from your, let's say, position, will help you to get a better score. Because skilled workers come to cities and help industries and businesses grow. So what is the result of that? It's good for migrants, people who come to cities, and also it's good for cities and citizens because cities will grow, right? Now the third step is to paraphrase. This is my paraphrase. Let's read it together. Rural populations are migrating to cities worldwide, leading to a decrease in the countryside's population. So instead of rural people, I used rural populations, are moving to cities, are migrating to cities, and instead of in many countries around the world, I used worldwide. For the second part, instead of so, I used leading to. Is decreasing, I used a decrease in, so I changed the part of speech. Decreasing as a verb, changed to decrease, a noun. And instead of the population in the countryside, I used in the countryside's population. Now, to complete my introduction, I need to add my position or my opinion. While this trend has some positive aspects, I believe it's likely to give rise to significant challenges that must be carefully addressed. So that's my introduction. I don't need anything else. I simply paraphrased and I stated my opinion or position clearly. Now let's begin our first body paragraph. So I said it's negative, right? But I had one positive point as well. So I start with my positive point in the first body paragraph, and in the next two, I will get to the negative parts. So if you remember, I said because skilled workers come to cities and help industries and businesses grow, which is good for migrants and cities and citizens. So this is my topic sentence. On the positive side, the movement of people to urban areas can result in several benefits. How? I need to explain. With this shift, people bring their skills, talents, and the workforce, thereby contributing to expanding industries and creating job opportunities. So what is the result of that? This influx of human capital can increase productivity, innovation, and overall prosperity for migrants and urban regions. Now, my first negative point. Remember I said because when the population of cities grow, there will be many problems such as traffic, housing, and so on, which lead to bad living conditions for the citizens. So I start with however because I want to talk about the negative side. However, this rapid migration to cities can also present significant challenges that must not be overlooked. So, what are those challenges? I need to explain. One of the primary concerns is the strain it places on urban infrastructure and resources due to cities experiencing population growth. So, what is the result of that? The increased demand for housing, transportation, and basic utilities can lead to housing shortages, traffic congestion, and overburdened public services, exacerbating issues of inadequate living conditions for the citizens. So I mostly used formal words here like exacerbate. Now, the second negative point. Remember, I said because there is a shortage of labor in rural areas, which affects the overall economy and food production. So I need to add one more negative point. So I start my paragraph with moreover. Moreover, urbanization can contribute to the neglect of agricultural lands, which in turn affects the overall economy and food security. So I need to explain how. In fact, when talented individuals, included skilled farmers and other professionals, leave rural areas, agricultural productivity and innovation may decrease. What is the result of that? Which affects food production and farming sustainability in the long run. Now I need to conclude. In the conclusion, I will start with a transition word like in conclusion or to conclude or anything else you like. Then I will summarize the main points and restate my opinion. So, in conclusion, while urbanization offers opportunities for economic growth, job creation, and innovation, so this is the summary of my positive point. It also presents significant challenges. I believe this trend will likely cause more harm than good. So this is my opinion, which is exactly the same of what I mentioned in my introduction. Now I need to summarize the two negative points I mentioned earlier. Because of its potential negative impacts on urban infrastructure and living conditions. And the second negative point, moreover, the neglect of rural areas and a possible brain drain may negatively influence the countryside. So this was my second negative point. So I wrote 265 words for this essay, and I organized my essay in 5 paragraphs. In the first one, in my introduction, I simply paraphrased and stated my opinion. In my first body paragraph, I mentioned the positive point and explained that and developed that. In the second body paragraph, I mentioned the first negative point and developed that. And I did the same thing in my third body paragraph by explaining the second point. And finally, I concluded all the main points and restated my opinion in my conclusion. So in this slide, you can find the points that increase the cohesion and coherence of my essay. You could pause and read for yourself and learn some points about cohesion and coherence. And in the next 4 slides, I will present useful collocations and phrases from my essay that you could read and use in your own essays. All right, hope you found it useful. Have a nice day.